If you speak to fill a silence, you are giving your power away. That deep-seated, often panicked urge to explain yourself, to justify your actions, to be understood and validated by those around you, it's the very thing that makes you appear weak, uncertain, and common. It places your value in the hands of others, waiting for their approval or comprehension. The most influential figures throughout history, from enigmatic rulers to modern-day icons, all grasped a profound and counterintuitive truth. Your influence, your authority, and your mystique do not grow by what you say, but by what you deliberately choose to withhold. Your silence is not a void. It is a charged, potent vacuum. Nature abhors a vacuum, and so does human psychology. When you create that space, that pause, others will rush to fill it with their own anxieties, their projections, their assumptions, and their secrets. They cannot bear the tension of not knowing. In their rush to resolve the discomfort you create by simply being quiet, they reveal everything. This is the bedrock of true strategic advantage. Let's travel back to the dust and grandeur of ancient Rome. Our story centers on a military titan, a man whose name was synonymous with victory and sacrificial valor. For nearly 2 decades, he fought on the distant frontiers, saving the Republic from disaster time and again. To the citizens in the Forum, he was not a man of flesh and blood, but a legend. They knew the tales of his heroics, but had never heard his voice, never seen his demeanor in peace. His power was immense because it was undefined, painted in the broad, glorious strokes of public imagination. When he decided to step from the battlefield into the political arena to seek the highest office of consul, he followed tradition. He stood before the citizen assembly. But his first speech was not of words, it was of scars. He revealed the map of wounds carved into his body over 17 years of service. The crowd was moved to tears by this silent, brutal testimony. His election was all but guaranteed. The legend was stepping into the light, and the people were ready to crown him. But here, the fatal turn. On the actual day of the vote, he arrived not as a humble servant of Rome, but as a conqueror. He was flanked by the entire Senate and the city's aristocratic elite, a blustering show of patrician force. The common people felt a first faint tremor of unease. And then he spoke. This second speech was not for them. It was for the wealthy men beside him. His words dripped with arrogance. He boasted of his exploits not as duty, but as personal triumph. He cracked sour, insider jokes that mocked the very citizens whose votes he needed. He slandered his opponents with venom. He speculated loudly about the riches and glory he alone would bring. The crowd listened, and the legend dissolved in real time. The mighty hero was, in speech, a common braggart, insecure and spiteful. The people turned out in unprecedented numbers to ensure his defeat. He had, with his own words, transformed awe into contempt. Embittered, he returned to the field, but his heart festered with a vow of revenge against the populace. Soon after, a crisis he saw as his opportunity arose. A massive shipment of grain arrived in Rome, and the Senate moved to distribute it freely to a hungry populace. As the vote was poised, our embittered hero appeared on the Senate floor. He argued not just against the distribution, but against the morality of feeding the mob. He claimed it would make them soft, dependent. His rhetoric swayed some senators. Then he went further, dangerously further. He condemned democracy itself. He argued for the abolition of the people's representatives, the tribunes, and for handing absolute power back to the aristocracy. It was a direct volcanic assault on the very foundations of the Roman state. When reports of this speech flooded the streets, the public's anger ignited into inferno. Riots broke out. The Senate, fearing the total collapse of order, hastily approved the grain distribution to appease the masses. But the people demanded more. They demanded his appearance and a public apology. The terms were clear: repent, agree to hold his tongue, and he could slink back to his military command. It was a lifeline, a chance to salvage a shred of dignity and position through strategic silence. He stood before them one final time. The crowd fell into a rapt, tense silence, waiting for the recantation. He began slowly, softly, almost inaudibly. But as he continued, the old poison seeped back in. His tone hardened. His words grew blunt, then insulting. His disdain for the crowd before him became palpable, a physical force in the air. The more he spoke, the more he confirmed their worst fears. He was not sorry. He was profoundly, arrogantly contemptuous of them all. The crowd's silence broke into a roar of fury. They shouted him down. The tribunes, seizing the moment, conferred and sentenced him to death by being thrown from the Tarpeian rock. The people roared their approval. Only last-minute patrician pleading commuted his sentence to perpetual exile. And when the news spread that Rome's great hero would never return, the city erupted in a celebration more vibrant and unanimous than any held after the defeat of a foreign army. His words had not just cost him an office, they had obliterated his legacy, turning his name from one of honor to one of scorn. The lesson is stark. When he was a silent legend, his power was limitless. The moment he opened his mouth, he defined himself, and he defined himself as small. He could not control his tongue, so he revealed he could not control himself. And a person who cannot exercise that most fundamental self-mastery is unworthy of respect, let alone power. He gave the people the very tool, his own spoken character, with which to dismantle his myth. Now, let us shift continents and centuries to the gilded halls of Versailles under the Sun King Louis Six. Here, power was not won on battlefields, but in whispered conversations and lethal glances. In his court, a complex dance played out daily. Nobles and ministers would debate affairs of state for endless hours, forming and breaking alliances, parsing every possible angle. Finally, two representatives would be chosen to present the issue to the king himself. Then the real anxiety began. How should the case be phrased? What might appeal to His Majesty? What might annoy him? What time of day should they approach? In which gallery? With what expression? After this agonizing preparation, they would approach the throne. Louis would listen. His face, a mask of perfect, impenetrable calm. He gave no nod, no frown, no hint of his thoughts. After the final plea was made, after the question was put to him, he would let the silence stretch. Then he would utter 3 words, "I shall see." And then he would simply walk away. That was it. No debate, no follow-up, no reassurance. Weeks might pass before his decision would become apparent, not through another word, but through an action, an edict, a dismissal. He never consulted them on the matter again. His silence was not passive. It was an active, crushing force. It kept the entire court in a state of perpetual uncertainty and terror. No one could predict him. No one could safely oppose an intention they could not discern. Most crucially, no one could deceive him by telling him what they thought he wanted to hear, because no one knew what that was. In their desperate attempts to fill his silence, to read his impassive face, the courtiers would talk more, reveal their own loyalties and schemes, and lay their weaknesses bare before him. His sparse words were not a lack of communication. They were the ultimate communication of absolute authority. As one observer noted, He sold his words, his smiles, even his glances at a high price. His majesty was deliberately constructed upon the scarcity of his speech. This principle, that power is amplified through verbal restraint, transcends ancient thrones and royal courts. It is a fundamental truth of human interaction. In any boardroom, any negotiation, any social gathering, the person who speaks least, who listens most, often holds the most substantive authority. Why does this work? Because your deliberate silence weaponizes the psychological discomfort of others. Human beings are meaning-making machines. We are compelled to interpret, to explain, to resolve ambiguity. When you present a calm, closed door, people become profoundly uneasy. They need to know what you are thinking. By carefully controlling your revelations, you become unreadable, and therefore formidable. This discomfort puts them on the defensive. They will begin to talk, to justify, to offer concessions, to reveal information, all in a nervous attempt to provoke a reaction from you, to get you to tip your hand. They leave an interaction with you feeling vaguely unsettled, robbed of certainty, and will spend mental energy later dissecting your few brief comments, attaching ever greater significance to them. This extra attention, this post-interaction scrutiny, only deepens your perceived power. You are living rent-free in their mind, and you paid no verbal rent to move in. Consider the modern embodiment of this, Andy Warhol. As a young man, Warhol made a simple, profound discovery: you could rarely get people to do what you wanted by talking to them. Direct requests bred perverse resistance. His conclusion? I learned that you actually have more power when you shut up. He transformed this into an artistic and personal strategy. In interviews, he became an oracle of ambiguity. He would offer vague, repetitive, or seemingly meaningless phrases. Interviewers would tie themselves in knots, searching for the profound subtext in his bland statements. By refusing to explain his art, he forced the world to interpret it. The more they talked and debated its meaning, the more valuable and significant it became. He, and artists like Marcel Duchamp before him, understood that mystery creates value. Explanation dispels magic. Your words are the currency of your mystery. Spend them lavishly, and you go bankrupt of intrigue. There is a darker, more fatal corollary to this law. Once words leave your lips, they are irrevocable. They take on a life of their own. You cannot unsay them. This is not merely about social awkwardness. It can be a matter of literal survival. History provides a chillingly perfect anecdote. In 1825, following the Decembrist uprising in Russia, the new Tsar Nicholas I sentenced one of its leaders, Kondraty Ryleyev, to death by hanging. On the scaffold, the trapdoor opened. Ryleyev fell, but the rope snapped, dropping him, bruised and alive, to the ground. In that era, such an event was widely considered a sign of divine providence, an automatic pardon. As Ryleyev struggled to his feet, spared by what seemed a miracle, he looked at the crowd and, unable to restrain himself, shouted, "See!" In Russia, they don't even know how to make a proper rope. A messenger sped to the Winter Palace. The Tsar, initially inclined to sign the pardon following the miracle, asked a final question. Did the prisoner say anything after he fell? The messenger faithfully reported the insult. Nicholas I's expression changed. In that case, he said, tearing the pardon in two, let us prove the contrary. A new rope was secured. Ryleyev was hanged a second time. It did not break. His last words were not a plea for mercy or a moment of grace. They were a sarcastic quip that cost him his life. The lesson is brutal. The momentary, ego-driven satisfaction of a clever remark is a currency that can purchase eternal consequences. The tongue, unmastered, is an executioner. This extends to sarcasm, to just being honest, to the need to have the last word in an argument. Each time you indulge, you are trading a sliver of long-term power, respect, or safety for a cheap shot of dopamine. You are proving you are not in control. You are showing your hand. You are giving your opponent, your superior, or your rival the very ammunition they need to define you or defeat you. But is silence always the answer? Is there a time when this law reverses itself? Absolutely. Strategic silence is one tool in the kit. Strategic verbosity is another. The key is intention. There are moments when saying more, much more, is the powerful move. How? By using a flood of words as a smokescreen, as a disguise. If silence makes you appear profound and powerful, excessive talk can make you appear harmless, foolish, or transparent. People let down their guard around a chatterbox. They do not suspect the rambling fool of having a hidden agenda or a sharp mind. This is the ancient art of the court jester. The jester talks and talks, he jokes, he sings, he babbles, he entertains. The king and court perceive him as a simpleton, a relief from gravity. And in that cloak of perceived idiocy, the clever jester can speak truths, observe secrets, and influence events in ways a silent, threatening counselor never could. His words are his camouflage. In modern contexts, overwhelming an opponent with technical jargon, friendly digressions, or emotional outpourings can cloud the real issue, distract from your true goal, and lull them into a false sense of security. They are so busy navigating your verbal barrage that they fail to see your actions. The reversal is clear. When you wish to deceive, to distract, to lower suspicion, sometimes the powerful move is to imitate powerlessness through a lack of verbal discipline. But this, too, must be a conscious choice, not a reflexive habit. So, how do you navigate this? The core principle is to shift from speaking from need to speaking from choice. Most of our speech is need-based. The need to be liked, the need to be seen as smart, the need to avoid awkwardness, the need to win a point. Power lies in moving to choice-based communication. You speak not because you are compelled to by internal anxiety, but because you have strategically decided that words in this moment will serve a specific, calculated purpose. Begin by cultivating the pause. When asked a question in a negotiation after someone finishes speaking, wait. Count 2 seconds in your head. Let the silence breathe. This simple act does 2 things. It gives you time to formulate a choice-based response, and it instantly elevates the perceived weight of whatever you say next. Practice listening not to reply, but to understand. Your goal in conversation should first be to gather information, not to broadcast it. When you do speak, make it concise. Favor clear, simple sentences over complex, qualifying paragraphs. Be direct. Your words should land with purpose, not sprawl like a vine. Understand that "I don't know" or "I'll think about it" and "get back to you" are immensely powerful sentences. They are honest, they create space, and they refuse to be pinned down prematurely. Become a student of nonverbal communication. Your silence is not just about your mouth, it's about your entire presence. A calm, steady gaze while listening is far more powerful than frantic nodding and verbal reassurances. A slight, enigmatic smile can communicate more than 1,000 words of agreement or disagreement. Your posture, your breathing, the stillness of your hands, these become your primary language when your secondary language is restrained. Finally, audit your own speech. For a day, simply observe. How much of what you say is essential? How much is filler, nervous chatter, ego stroking, or unnecessary explanation. You will likely be shocked by the volume of verbal currency you waste on things that diminish rather than enhance your position. Your words are a finite treasure, a reservoir of personal power. Every time you speak without strategic intent, you are making a withdrawal from that account. Every time you choose silence or precision, you are making a deposit. This is not about becoming a cold, mute statue. It is about becoming a conscious architect of your own influence. It is about understanding that in the economy of human perception, scarcity creates value. By making your words scarce, you make your presence valuable. By mastering the beast of your own tongue, you stop giving your power away to anyone who can provoke you into speech. You hold the keys to the cage. The quietest person in the room is often not the weakest. They are simply the one who understands that true strength is not in the noise you make, but in the storms you can calmly withstand without uttering a word. If this perspective on communication and power resonates with you, if it makes you view your next meeting or conversation differently, then let us know. Give this video a like. It tells us you want more content like this from Winds of Thought. And we're curious, what's one situation you've experienced where choosing to say less fundamentally changed the outcome? Share your story in the comments below. Your silence, after all, has its own stories to tell.